Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Pastor Moe of Liberating Truth Church, and you've tuned into a walk through the Bible. We are endeavoring to teach through the Bible from Genesis 1 and 1 to Revelation 22 and 21. We have finished the book of Genesis, and we are in the book of Exodus, and we have covered chapters 1 through 9. We had some technical difficulties last week, and so I am redoing chapters 10 through 12. Let me make sure that we are live on Facebook. We're looking good on Facebook. And so please share this. Please share it on your social media platforms and let people know that Pastor Moe is live on Facebook and on YouTube with a walk through the Bible. How it works is I give you the chapters that we are going to cover. You read them, study them, and then the next morning, Monday through Friday, we cover those chapters. And so it's not an exhaustive study. We pretty much do a summary of every chapter, highlight some key things, and we keep it moving. We want to cover the entire Bible by sometime this time next year. And so let's go right into Exodus chapters 10 through 12. And I am going to uh, share BibleGateway.com so you can actually see the scriptures. Let's see if I can move that over a little bit for you. There you go. All right. And so let's start with verse 1. And the Lord said unto Moses, Go in unto Pharaoh, for I have hardened his heart and the heart of his servants, that I might show my signs before him. Now, let me look at my notes and see where we're at. Verse 2. And that thou mayest tell in the ears of thy son and thy son's son what things I have wrought in Egypt, and my signs which I have done among them. Watch this. That ye may know that I am the Lord. So it is a purpose behind what he's doing with Pharaoh. God continues to remind Moses why he's hardening Pharaoh's heart. God is saying, everybody's going to know who I am when I'm done here in Egypt, okay? The Egyptians are going to know who I am. You as my children, the children of Israel, my chosen people, I am your God. You're going to know who I am. The nations are going to know who I am. Pharaoh said, Who is the Lord that I should let you go? I know not the Lord. Well, he's going to know who I am when I'm done here. Okay? So let's read verse 3. And Moses and Aaron came in unto Pharaoh and said unto him, Thus saith the Lord God of the Hebrews. He's the God of the Hebrews. How long wilt thou refuse to humble thyself before me? Let my people go that they may serve me. After COVID, 2020, when it was killing uh, millions of people, after all of that, why in 2024 God's people still refuse to humble themselves before God? Ask yourself that. Why are we still tripping like we don't know God ain't the one to play with? By now, the Egyptians, which many of them did, but others didn't, who followed hard after Pharaoh and Pharaoh, how much is it going to take for you to understand that this is not the God to be playing with? But we know that he's continuing to harden Pharaoh's heart. All right? So let's read verses 4 through 7. 4 through 7. Else, if thou refuse to let my people go, behold, tomorrow will I bring the locusts into thy coast. And they shall cover the face of the earth, that one cannot be able to see the earth. That's a lot of locusts. And they shall eat the residue that which is escaped. So when he rained hail, there were some things that were not destroyed, some things that still remain. Watch what he says, which remaineth unto you from the hail, and ye and shall and shall eat every tree which groweth for you out of the field. So he's going to destroy all of the vegetation with these locusts. They're going to eat it all up. And they shall fill thy houses. So they're going to be in the crib too. And the houses of all thy servants. So everybody's going to be infested with locusts. And the houses of all the Egyptians, which neither thy fathers nor thy fathers' fathers have seen. So this is going to be something that none of your generations have seen. Since the day that they were upon the earth unto this day. And he turned himself and went out from Pharaoh. And Pharaoh's servants said, watch this. This is confirming what I just said earlier about how much does it take. How long shall this man be a snare unto us? Let the men go, that they may serve the Lord their God. Knowest thou not yet Egypt is destroyed? Can you all see as leaders, when we bring judgment upon ourselves, it can also affect everybody around us? Come on now. How many of us even know how much damage is being done around us? His servants are saying, can't you see their God is destroying us? Let them people go so they get away from us. Verse 8, and Moses and Aaron were brought again unto Pharaoh, and he said unto them, go, serve the Lord your God. But who are they that shall go? What do you mean, who are they that should go? God said, my people. Let my people go. All of them. Come on now. Verse 9. And Moses said, we will go with our young and with our old, with our sons and with our daughters, with our flocks and with our herds, we will go. For we must hold a feast unto the Lord. So Moses told Pharaoh, we're leaving with everybody, everybody, and everything that God blessed us with. We're leaving with everything. All right, verses 10 and 11. Verses 10 and 11. And he said unto them, let the Lord be so with you, as I will let you go, and your little ones. Look to it, for evil is before you. Not so. Okay, are you a little confused, Pharaoh? Go now, ye that are men, and serve the Lord, for that ye did desire. And they were driven out from Pharaoh's presence. So Pharaoh was a little hard of hearing, right? So since you hard of hearing and you acting like you don't understand what's going on, here's the response. Verses 12 through 17. Since you don't understand, or you refuse to understand what it means to let my people go totally, here's my response to you. And the Lord said unto Moses, stretch out thine hand over the land of Egypt for the locusts, that they may come up upon the land of Egypt and eat every herb of the land, even all that the hail have left. Now remember, Egypt has been the place to come to get food. Okay, remember, the children of Israel had to come there during the time of Jacob and Joseph because there was a famine in Canaan. Remember? Verse 13, and Moses stretched forth his rod over the land of Egypt, and the Lord brought an east wind upon the land of that day, upon the land all that day, and all that night. And when it was morning, the east wind brought the locusts. And the locusts went up over all the land of Egypt and rested in all the coast of Egypt. Very grievous were they. Before them were no such locusts as they, neither after them shall be such. Verse 15, for they covered the face of the whole earth, so that the land was darkened. It was so many of them, the land got dark. We just had a solar eclipse yesterday, and the land got dark for a minute. These locusts are going to make it dark. There's going to be so many of them. And they did eat every herb of the land, and all the fruit of the trees which the hail had left. So this land of plenty that everybody in the past came to for refuge and for food is getting ready to be plundered by these locusts. And there remained not any green thing in the trees, wow, or in the herbs of the field through all the land of Egypt. Then Pharaoh called Moses and Aaron in haste, like he hurried up and called them. And he said, I have sinned against the Lord your God. Oh, you done sinned now, huh? You have a repentant heart now? And against you. Now, therefore, forgive, I pray or beg thee, my sin only this once, and entreat or try to convince the Lord your God that he may take away from me this death only. Wow. Here he goes again. You notice that he says he had sinned earlier in this book. He's trying to be manipulative. Knowing his heart is still hard, talking about, I have sinned against the Lord. Okay? Let's go back. Didn't he say, he said, I have a sin against the Lord your God. Okay. How many times have you said, and I think we talked about this earlier, that if you just forgive me this one time, you're talking about just talk to God for this one time, this death only. I mean, how many times have we been manipulative, knowing we just want to get out of this situation? We're going to go back to what we're doing. Verse 18 says, and he went out from Pharaoh and entreated the Lord. Here Moses goes again, y'all, sparing Pharaoh. Or maybe Pharaoh gets it now and is asking the Lord to remove each plague, or excuse me, Moses is. Moses gets it now and is asking the Lord to remove each plague because he knows another one is coming. So he's like, okay, I'm going to go and treat the Lord, but God ain't done with you yet. Like, keep playing with my God. Let me grab some popcorn and just sit back and watch this. All right? Verses 19 through 23. 19 through 23. And the Lord turned a mighty strong west wind, which took away the locusts, and cast them into the Red Sea. There remained not one locust in all the coast of Egypt. But the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, so that he would not let the children of Israel go. Now, for those of you who haven't been following the teaching, go back and watch the videos, and I explain why he keeps hardening Pharaoh's heart, so that he will not let the people go until he was done with Pharaoh and the Egyptians. Verse 21, and the Lord said unto Moses, stretch out thy hand toward heaven, and there may be darkness over the land of Egypt, even darkness which may be felt. Woo! It's going to be so dark that you can feel the darkness. Have you ever felt darkness around you? And Moses stretched forth his hand toward heaven, and there was a thick darkness in all the land of Egypt 3 days. Mm-mm-mm. They saw not one another. They couldn't even see one another. It was so dark. Neither rose any from his place for 3 days. They couldn't even come outside. But all the children of Israel have light in their dwellings. Woo! God bad, ain't he? Like God separated the light from darkness in creation, he caused darkness to be on the Egyptians and caused light to cover his people. Verse 24. Woo! I feel like preaching, man. Y'all just don't know. This is good. And Pharaoh called unto Moses and said, Go ye, serve the Lord. Only let your flocks and your herds be stayed. Let your little ones also go with you. Like I told y'all earlier, your enemies always want to hold on to a piece of you. People are trying to get, people are trying to get out of a relationship. People you're trying to get out of a relationship with always want to keep a piece of you. I'm gonna say that again. People that you're trying to get out of a relationship with, don't they always want to try to keep a piece of you? Like, no, I'm gone for real. I'm all the way gone. People don't want to release you from your past, are always looking for something to hold you to. They still want a piece of you. They can't stand to see you totally walk in your deliverance, your freedom, your blessings. They don't want you to serve God. They want you to serve them. Am I teaching this morning? Verse 25 and 26. Verse 25 and 26. And Moses said, Thou must give us also sacrifice and burnt offerings that we may sacrifice unto the Lord our God. So we have to take our flocks and herds with us. We need them for our sacrifices and burnt offerings. We can't go without our livestock. Our cattle also shall go with us. There shall not a hoof be left behind. For therefore must we take to serve the Lord our God. We need our animals for our sacrifices. And we know not what we shall, we know not with what we must serve the Lord until we come thither. So we don't know exactly what animals, what we're going to need to sacrifice and burn unto the Lord. So we need to take everything. So we ready. So we ready to worship God. Come on now. Uh, this will become clearer when we get to our later studies on sacrifices and offerings that the children of Israel needed livestock and other things to bring to the priest for sacrifices and offerings. Moses said, no, we need all of our stuff. We need all of our livestock to serve the Lord. Verses 27 and 28. But the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, and he would not let them go. And Pharaoh said unto him, watch this, y'all. Get thee from me. Take heed to thyself. See my face no more. For in that day thou seest my face, thou shalt die. Now, for those of you who saw the title of today's lesson, you saw the Passover. Moses has threatened, Pharaoh has threatened Moses, and the chapters that we're covering. So we're going to see in chapter 12 the law of the Passover, but here, watch after darkness. Watch this now, listen to me. After darkness covered the earth in Egypt and covered them, notice after that, Pharaoh even gets darker. Now he's threatened Moses. He never threatened the life of Moses in all this time, but now he said the next time the next time you're in my presence, you shall die. Next time you see my face, you're gonna die. So this darkness that was over the Egyptians brought out the darkness in Pharaoh. Now he's resulted to threatening Moses' life. Now watch what's gonna happen after this, y'all. Verse 29. Uh, and Moses said, "Thou hast spoken well." In other words, say less. I will see thy face again no more. Say less. You ain't got to see me no more because you've got to deal with God, not me. You're gonna see God again. you're gonna You're gonna see his plagues, his power. Uh-huh. All right, so let's go to uh chapter 11. And let's read verse 1 first. Let's deal with first verse 1. And the Lord said unto Moses, "Yet I will bring one plague more upon Pharaoh." Hear this now. Since you done threatened my boy, okay, I got one more plague for you, and upon Egypt. Afterwards he will let you go hence. When he shall let you go, he shall surely thrust you out hence altogether. So God is saying this last plague is going to cause him to let you go. Notice now that Pharaoh has threatened Moses' life, God says, okay, it's time for y'all to go. Verse 2, speak now in the ears of the people, and let every man borrow of his neighbor and every woman of her neighbor jewels of silver and jewels of gold. Remember in chapter 3, God said, you will not leave Egypt empty-handed. Remember that? Verse 3, and the Lord gave the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians, in the sight of these people who had them captive. Moreover, the man Moses was very great in the land of Egypt. So you're great in the land of bondage where you've been captive. In the sight of Pharaoh's servants and in the sight of the people. Notice, not only has God made a name for himself, he's made a name for Moses, and they respect him now because he's God's man. Verses 4 through 7. Verses 4 through 7. And Moses said, thus said the Lord, about midnight I will go out into the midst of Egypt. Uh-oh, here we go, y'all. And all the firstborn in the land of Egypt shall die. From the firstborn of Pharaoh that sitteth upon his throne. Ooh. Even unto the firstborn of the maidservant that is behind the mill, and all the firstborn of beasts. And there shall be a great cry throughout the land of Egypt, such as there was none like it, nor shall be like it any more. But against any of the children of Israel, not a dog shall move his tongue against any man or beast, that ye may, watch this, know that the Lord put a difference between the Egyptians and Israel. Y'all see that? In ancient times, the firstborn child, especially a male, was precious to any man or woman, as it is today. God said this would cause an outcry like never before or will ever be after. Watch this, that the Lord make it clear he's putting a difference between the Egyptians and Israel. Verse 8, and all these thy servants shall come down unto me and bow down themselves unto me, saying, get thee out, and all the people that follow thee. And after that I will go out. And he went out from Pharaoh in a great anger. So Moses left like, okay, you don't want to see me face to face anymore. Cool. After this plague, we out of here. Verse 9. And the Lord said unto Moses, Pharaoh shall not hearken unto you, that my wonders may be multiplied in the land of Egypt. And Moses and Aaron did all these wonders before Pharaoh. And the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart so that he would not let the children of Israel go out of his hand. So it is referring back to what God has done. He will not hearken unto you, that I will continue to cause my wonders to be multiplied in this land, that they may know that there's no other God like me, that they may know I am the Lord, that they may know that I put a difference between you and them. There was a purpose for hardening Pharaoh's heart. Let's go to this last chapter, y'all, chapter 12. And we're going to do a little reading here. This is going to be about 50 verses, I think. I told y'all before, this study ain't for the weak. We have to cover a lot of information. And so let's go to chapter 12. Let's move through this chapter and learn about the Passover, an ordinance, something prescribed that God is going to give them to perform when they get into the land of Canaan, when they're delivered out of Egypt, as a memorial of God passing over their houses when the destroyer came to destroy all the firstborn of the Egyptians' houses. But he passed over the houses of the children of Israel because of the blood. God is going to say, when I see the blood, I'm getting ahead of myself, but I had to say that real quick. All right, let's work through this, y'all. So I'm not going to flip back and forth. Y'all read with me so we can get through this. You got a Bible, don't you? Verse 1, and the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, this month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you. So the month that the children of Israel were delivered out of Egypt began the first month of the year on their Hebrew calendar. Speak ye unto the children of Israel, saying, in the 10th day of this month, okay, write this in y'all notes, y'all, ye shall take to them every man a lamb. So on the 10th day, grab a lamb, according to the house of their fathers, a lamb for a house. So a lamb that's going to be enough for your house, sufficient for your house. And if the household be too little for the lamb, let him and his neighbor next unto his house take it according to the number of the souls. So if this lamb if the smallest lamb that you have is still too big for your household, share with your neighbor. Every man according to his eating shall make your count for the lamb. So you can already see that this is getting ready to be a feast. Because he automatically starts talking about they're going to eat this lamb. Your lamb, now here's the qualifications of the lamb. Your lamb shall be without blemish. Nothing wrong with it. A male of the first year. So a 1-year-old male healthy lamb. Ye shall take it out from the sheep or from the goats. So a lamb can come from sheep or goats. It's a young sheep or young goat, to my understanding, okay? And ye shall keep it until the 14th day of the same month. So you're going to keep this lamb, set it aside, consecrate it for 14 days. You're going to choose it on the 10th day. You're going to keep it until the 14th day, and the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening. So you're going to sacrifice this lamb on the 14th day of the first month. And ye shall take the blood. Once you kill it, take the blood and strike this blood on the two side posts and the upper post of the houses wherein ye shall eat it. So wherever you eat this, you're going to eat this lamb, wherever you dwell, you're going to take the blood and put it on the two side posts and the upper post. And they shall eat the flesh in that night, roasted with fire. That night, y'all, and unleavened bread. So you're going to have unleavened bread with it, bread with no yeast. This bread is not going to rise. It has no yeast. And with bitter herbs, they shall eat it. What bitter herbs are, let's research that. Eat it not raw. So they were not supposed to eat meat with the blood anyway. That was established back with, I think Noah, I think it was. Nor sodden with water, so you're not going to boil it either. But roast it with fire, his head with the legs and with the pertinence thereof. So you're going to roast the whole lamb. And you shall let nothing of it remain until the morning. So you're going to eat it all, and that which remaineth of it until the morning you shall burn with fire. So either you're going to eat it all or burn the rest of it that you don't eat in the morning. And thus shall you eat it with your loins girded and your shoes on your feet and your staff in your hand. All right? So you're going to have something on your waist. I believe it's called the girdle or like a belt today. The waist had to be a strap covered, your shoes on your feet, your staff in your hand. They got to be dressed. And you shall eat it in a hurry, in haste. Okay? Before the morning comes, you got to eat it that night. It is the Lord's Passover. Okay, so this feast is called the Passover. Why? Because he's going to pass over their houses when he sees the blood. Watch. For I will pass through the land of Egypt this night, and will smite the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast, and against all the gods of Egypt will I execute judgment. I am the Lord. And the blood shall be to you for a token or a sign upon the houses wherein you are. And when I see the blood, many preachers have preached this, when I see the blood, even in our own salvation, we've we've used this. When I see the blood, God's judgment will pass over you, because as the old saints used to say, we're covered by the blood. I will pass over you, and the plague shall not be upon you to destroy you when I smite the land of Egypt. And this day shall be unto you for a memorial. Come on. This is something that you're going to do to remember this deliverance, this plague, this passing over, and ye shall keep it a feast. This is going to be a feast. You're going to come together and eat and commemorate this to the Lord throughout your generations, for ye shall keep it a feast by an ordinance forever. Okay? An ordinance means something prescribed. He's prescribing something to them that they must do. 7 days shall ye eat unleavened bread. So 7 days during this time of feast, you should eat unleavened bread 7 days. Even the first day ye shall put away leaven out of your houses. So the first day of this feast, get rid of all the yeast in your house. For whosoever eateth leavened bread from the first day until the 20th day. Okay, so you're seeing how long this feast is going to last. Or this Passover celebration is going to last. Because they're going to have to eat that first lamb before the morning, right? So this celebration is going to continue with unleavened bread. If any of them eat unleavened bread from the first day until the 20th day, that soul shall be cut off from Israel. So he's serious about this ordinance. And then the first day, there shall be a holy convocation. So this is where where we get holy convocation. You always see different church denominations holding a holy convocation. It's a holy gathering. It's another term for a gathering or a meeting. That's what convocation means. A holy gathering. They are to gather on the first day, and in the seventh day there shall be a holy convocation. So this is a feast, come together to eat and come together and meet. Okay? No manner of work shall be done in these days, but only that which every man must eat. So you can cook, but there's no work to be done. That only may be done of you. And ye shall observe the feast of unleavened bread, for in the selfsame day have I brought your armies or your tribes out of the land of Egypt. Therefore shall ye observe this day in your generations by an ordinance forever, by a order, a commandment, a thing prescribed. This is not an option. As a nation, this is a rule, a law, a ordinance, something prescribed. You shall keep it. It's part of the beginning of giving them laws. In the first month, on the 14th day of the month at even, you shall eat unleavened bread until the 1 and 20th day of the month at even. So you got to eat it the 7 days, and now it's saying on the 14th day. Okay, so maybe there's a gap there. It says 7 days you should eat it. Now it's saying jumping to the 14th day. It's saying from the 14th day to the 20th day. So another 7 days, you're going to eat it as well. 7 days there should be no leaven found in your houses. So it looks like a 7-day period and a 7-day period of unleavened bread. Okay? 7 days shall there be no leaven found in your houses, for whosoever eateth that which is leavened, even that soul shall be cut off from the congregation of Israel, whether he be a stranger or foreigner, okay, that's in their house, or born in the land. Okay? You shall not eat nothing leavened. In all your habitations shall you eat unleavened bread. Then Moses called for the elders of Israel and said unto them, draw out and take you a lamb according to your families and kill the Passover. So Moses is saying, Moses has gotten the word, gotten the instructions, so now it's time to obey the word. Okay? And you shall take a bunch of hyssop, which I understand is a branch of leaves, and dip it in the blood that is in the basin, and strike the lintel and the 2 side posts with the blood that is in the basin, and none of you shall go out at the door of his house until morning. Don't you come out the house now. People were told not to come out the house during COVID, and they came out anyway. But God is saying here, it ain't whether you can or the possibility of something happening. If you come out the house, you're going to die. For the Lord will pass through to smite the Egyptians, and when he seeth the blood upon the lintel and the 2 side posts, the Lord will pass over the door. Passover meal, because he's going to pass over the door of these houses, and will not suffer the destroyer to come into your house to smite you. And you shall observe this thing for ordinance to thee and to thy sons forever. So your sons are going to carry it on. So teach them that they continue to teach the generations to come. And it shall come to pass when ye come to the land which the Lord will give you, talking about Canaan, according as he hath promised to Abraham, that ye keep this service. So when you get in the land of Canaan, this is going to be something that you're going to keep year to year. And it shall come to pass when your children shall say or ask you, what meaneth this service? Because they're going to ask, Dad, what is this? Why do we do this every year? Why do we kill a lamb and we can't have leavened bread. That ye shall say, it is the sacrifice of the Lord's Passover, who passed over the houses of the children of Israel in Egypt. Many of you, this is the first time you're hearing this. Now you know what the Passover meal is, what Passover is, why it's celebrated, okay? In the book of Acts, chapter 12, verse 4, I think it is, when you see that term Easter, it's talking about Pesach, the Passover lamb that's talked about here, that is to be killed for this feast. It ain't talking about the resurrection, okay? Easter and the resurrection of Jesus Christ has nothing to do. Have nothing to do with one another. The term Easter is just I believe it's a Latin term originally, translated to English, that was talking about the Passover. That they would not do anything to Peter until after the Passover. All right, let's move on. Where he smote the Egyptians and delivered our houses, and the people bowed their head and worshipped. They're like, my God. And the children of Israel went away and did as the Lord had commanded Moses and Aaron, so they did. And it came to pass that at midnight the Lord smote all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh that sat on his throne unto the firstborn of the captive that was in the dungeon, and all the firstborn of cattle. And Pharaoh rose up in the night, he and all his servants and all the Egyptians, and there was a great cry in Egypt, for there was not a house where there was not one dead. You're talking about a pandemic, a national emergency. Not one house was left without someone dead in it. Imagine responding to that call. Woo! And he called for Moses and Aaron by night and said, rise up and get you forth from among my people, both ye and the children of Israel, and go serve the Lord as ye have said. Also take your flocks and your herds as ye have said, and be gone, and bless me also. So he's saying, okay, take everything. You ain't got to leave nothing. Get out of here. Take everything as you have said. And then he says, and bless me also. Ain't that something? And the Egyptians were urgent upon the people that they might send them out of the land in a hurry. For they said, we be all dead men. They don't know if they're going to be next or not, you know. And the people took their dough before it was leavened, their kneading troughs. Remember, kneading troughs are the shallow bin where they made dough, being bound up in their clothes upon their shoulders. And the children of Israel did according to the word of Moses, and they borrowed of the Egyptians jewels of silver and jewels of gold and raiment or clothing. And the Lord gave the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians, so that they lent unto them such things as they required, and they spoiled the Egyptians. They asked for the things, but the scripture says they plundered them or spoiled them. When God said you're not going to go out empty, that's what he meant. And the children of Israel journeyed from Ramesses to Succoth, about 600,000 on foot, that were men beside children. And a mixed multitude went out also with them, and flocks and herds, even very much cattle. And they baked unleavened cakes of the dough which they brought forth out of Egypt, for it was not leavened, because they were thrust out of Egypt and could not tarry. Neither had they prepared themselves any victual or food. Somebody must have rung my doorbell because my dog is going crazy. I apologize for the barking. Verse 40, now the sojourning or temporary visit of the children of Israel who dwelt in Egypt was 430 years. Some temporary visit, huh? And it came to pass at the end of 430 years, a 430-year temporary visit, huh? Even the self-same day it came to pass that all the host, all the tribes of the Lord went out from the land of Egypt. It is a night to be much observed unto the Lord for bringing them out from the land of Egypt. This is that night of the Lord to be observed of all the children of Israel in their generations. Now, who's supposed to observe this? We talk about the Passover today, but who's supposed to observe this? African Christians, Chinese Christians, believers, followers of the way. Today as a church, are we commanded to keep the Passover? I'm not saying that we can't or it's a sin to, but who was instructed to keep it and why? The children of Israel, because they're the ones that were delivered out of Egypt by a mighty hand. God passed over their houses when the destroyer came and killed all of the firstborn in the land. And the Lord said unto Moses, watch this now, this is concerning a foreigner. I'm about to answer this question here. This is the ordinance of the Passover. There shall no stranger or foreigner eat thereof. Again, an ordinance is something prescribed or laid down as a rule or a law. Now, continue to listen. But every man's servant that is bought for money. So this is somebody who is in their house, whether it be a foreigner or not. When thou hast circumcised him, then shall he eat thereof. So if somebody's in your house, whether they be a foreigner, a servant bought for money, they have to be circumcised because that is the part of the covenant that was given to Abraham where they're concerned, right? This is a sign of the covenant between God and Abraham and his posterity, his lineage. Watch this. A foreigner and a hired servant shall not eat thereof. So if you just have a foreigner that's in the land or somebody who's just hired, they're not bought, they don't belong to you, they've just been hired for a job. They can't eat it. In one house shall it be eaten. Thou shalt not carry forth anything of the flesh out of the house, neither shall ye break a bone thereof. All the congregation of Israel shall keep it. Watch this now. And when a stranger or foreigner shall have a temporary journey with you, or temporary visit, sojourn with thee, and will keep the Passover of the Lord. Now, if they're going to visit you and stay with you, and let all of his males be circumcised, and then let him come near and keep it. And he shall be as one that is born in the land. For no uncircumcised person shall eat thereof. So what is the difference between a foreigner or hired servant and a foreigner that is circumcised? Well, one that is circumcised is worthy to partake of the Passover. But a stranger or foreigner that's not, they can't touch it because they haven't been brought into the covenant. One law shall be to him that is homeborn and unto the stranger that sojourneth among you. So this law applies to both. Thus did all the children of Israel, as the Lord commanded Moses and Aaron, so did they. And it came to pass the selfsame day that the Lord did bring the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt by their armies. So God establishes an ordinance, a memorial that they would keep once they got into the land of Canaan, to remember the day the destroyer passed over their houses and the Lord delivered them out of Egypt. And it came to pass, and it shall come to pass when your children that they shall say, it is the sacrifice of the Lord's Passover, who passed over the houses of the children of Israel in Egypt, when he smote the Egyptians and delivered our houses, and the people bowed the head and worshiped. One thing that I want to add here is worship. If you look up the term obeisance, it means to bow down. That's what worship is. It's to bow down. Whether you're bowing down to God or a king, to bow down and go prostrate to the ground is really what worship is, obeisance. So they worshiped God because of this. They honored God because of this. My Lord, what a story. From chapter 12 of Genesis to where we are now, chapter 12 of Exodus, we see God chose Abraham and his posterity to be a people that would be his people, and he would be their God. And he is a covenant keeping, promise keeping God. Whether you're in bondage or not, the promise is still going to come to pass. He promised them that they would inherit a land that would be theirs, and he meant it. And so being in Egypt doesn't make the promise void. Wherever you are in your life, you might be in a Egypt experience. That doesn't cancel out the promise God made to you. Just keep the faith. Keep God's word. Deliverance will come. It will come. This is something that is written for our learning, the Bible says in the New Testament, that the scripture was written for our learning, that we may be edified and encouraged. Be encouraged today that no matter where you are in life, no matter what situation you're in, you might be in prison. What God promised you shall come to pass, no matter how it looks. Tomorrow we're going to cover chapters 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. I'm going to do 5 chapters. So read chapters 13 through 17, and we'll be back in the morning at 9 a.m. with a walk through the Bible. This has been Pastor Moe of Liberating Truth Church. I'll see you in the morning.